In a chilling case that sent shockwaves around the globe, a 45-year-old man imprisoned 5 women in an underground cellar, abusing them in unimaginable ways. The abuser forced his victims to consume their own waste and even mutilated their bodies post-mortem. Among the victims was his own niece. This horrific case, now public, left an entire nation horrified. His name was Deng Chengji, born in 1953 in Linyi County, Shaanxi Province. Following economic reforms, his family was allotted several acres of a pear orchard, a place that later became the epicenter of his heinous crimes. Although Deng Chengji was married with children at the time of the crimes, the passion in his marriage had faded. Initially, he only watched pirated CDs secretly, but soon he grew dissatisfied, turning his attention to young girls in the village. On March 22, 1998, 3 girls were doing homework near the orchard when Deng noticed a particularly beautiful girl named Chen Xiaojing. However, with her 2 friends nearby, he bided his time, hiding in the orchard and waiting for his chance. Shortly after, the other 2 girls left to use a nearby restroom, giving Deng the opportunity he sought. He approached Xiaojing and enticed her to follow him into the orchard to see the flowers in bloom. Trusting him as a neighbor and elder, Xiaojing went along. As she searched for the blossoms, Deng struck her from behind, rendering her unconscious, and then assaulted her. Afterwards, Deng decided to imprison Xiaojing for future abuse. He tied her up and placed her in a deep pit he'd prepared earlier, covering the opening with wooden planks. When the other 2 girls returned and found Xiaojing missing, they assumed she'd gone off to play and didn't think much of it. It wasn't until evening that her family began to worry. Xiaojing's father, desperate, even sought Deng's help to find her. Deng feigned concern, joining the search, but no trace of Xiaojing was found other than her abandoned homework. Although police searched the orchard, it was too large to be thoroughly examined, and the small opening of the pit where Xiaojing lay hidden was missed. After examining possible motives and ruling out human trafficking, they suspected a local perpetrator, but found no clues. Meanwhile, Deng returned the next day to find that Xiaojing had suffocated in the pit due to insufficient airflow. Enraged but undeterred, he dug deeper and buried her beneath a pear tree, turning the case into a tragic mystery. For 3 years, he refrained from further crimes, but eventually, he began constructing an underground dungeon with more secure containment measures. By 2001, with the dungeon complete, Deng targeted a 29-year-old woman named Xia Kui, recently separated from her husband. As Deng offered her a job at his orchard, Xia Kui trusted him and accepted, only to be lured into the orchard where Deng assaulted and imprisoned her. When Xiao Kui attempted to resist, Deng responded with extreme cruelty, binding her and even sewing her mouth shut. Over the following months, he continued to abuse Xiao Kui in increasingly twisted ways until he ultimately killed her, buried her beside Xiaojing, leaving no trace behind. Police suspicions fell on Xia Kui's ex-husband due to their troubled relationship, and the case went cold, leaving Deng emboldened by his apparent success. Months later, Deng lured another victim, Xiaoli, into the orchard. After rendering her unconscious, he forced her to perform demeaning acts for his amusement, treating her as though she were part of his imagined harem. When she attempted to escape, he retaliated viciously, branding her with a knife, and eventually killing her when she no longer entertained him. Despite local authorities being alerted to the women's disappearances, no one suspected Deng, a trusted member of the community. However, when 2 more women went missing, a woman named Xiao Ayan managed to escape and reported the details, leading police back to Deng's orchard. On December 19, 2003, Dang was sentenced to death, executed in April the following year, ending his reign of terror. However, his victims' families were left with an unending grief, knowing their loved ones' lives were cruelly ended beneath those pear trees.